Okay, Year 7. So when looking at our unit time and mass, we obviously have to start looking at mass. We've had a look at time, now we're moving on. So what you need to be doing is you need to be writing a heading in your theory book or whichever book you write your notes. It needs to be in red pen. You then need to underline it, mass, M-A-S-S, and you need to write down the following definition. So, mass describes how much matter makes up an object and is measured in milligrams, grams, kilograms, or tons. Now guys, most of you are probably sitting there thinking, isn't that weight? Aren't mass and weight the same thing? Well, they're not. Someone usually says, I weigh this much, but what they're actually talking about is their mass. People commonly confuse them. Weight all has to do with gravitational force, but when we're talking about how much matter makes something up, what we actually mean to say is mass. Now, if you look to the bottom of our screen here, I've got a few different objects listed here. And what you'll be doing in this unit is not only will you be converting between different measurements of mass, so between milligrams and grams, or kilograms to milligrams, or kilograms to tons, you'll also be needing to identify everyday objects that would be measured in certain, would be calculated in certain measurements. So we've got Coca-Cola bottle, a smartphone, a paperclip, a laptop, and a pinch of salt, and a car. Now let's start with milligrams. Things on this page, amongst these objects that weigh a milligram, is one of these grains of salt. That would weigh a milligram. Now, when we're looking at grams, that's the next category of measurement up. A milligram was the pinch of salt, also a grain of sand, that would weigh a milligram. An everyday object that would weigh a gram. We've actually got two here, guys. The paperclip, which would weigh about 1 or 2 grams, and our smartphone here, which would weigh between 100 and 200 grams. Now, the next category up is kilograms. And there's two objects here again that weigh kilograms. I've got the 1.25 litre Coke bottle. That's 1.25 kilograms. And I've also got the laptop here. And that'd be anywhere between, the MacBook Pro would be about 2.5. And any other laptop, I would say, would be definitely measuring, unless it's a tiny one, you'd be definitely measuring them in kilograms. Finally, our next unit up. We don't tend to think of it, but it's actually tons. Example of things that weigh a ton. A car, a truck. You weigh cement in tons as well. These are all everyday objects that you weigh or describe their mass in tons. Okay, let's move on. So when we're converting between different units of measure, you need to be writing this as a heading, guys, and you need to be writing this definition underneath it. When converting units of mass, if you start with the smaller unit and change to a larger unit, so if you have milligrams and you change up to grams, you need to divide. However, if you start with a larger unit and change to a smaller unit, you need to multiply. So when converting, if we get milligrams and we go over here to grams, we divide by 1,000. If we go from grams to kilograms, we divide our number by 1,000 again. And if we go to kilograms to tons, we divide by 1,000 again. However, if we get a unit of measure in kilograms and we're asked to work it out in grams, we need to multiply it. Use this diagram, guys. You need to draw this diagram down, this one here, without my annotations. Simply milligrams, grams, kilograms, tons, and the arrows and the division and the multiplication. It will be really, really helpful for you, and you'll use it probably for most of the next 2 lessons. Okay, guys, let's do some examples. Our first question here, it says, convert 2.8 kilograms to grams. So, first thing we do, step 1, we need to write down our quantity. 2.8, whoops, Mr. Corsi Stylus is a bit funny, 2.8 kilograms. Now, a kilogram is a larger unit than a gram. When we go up in units, when we go down, so when we go for the reverse way, when we go from a larger unit to a smaller unit, we need to multiply. and there is 1,000 grams in a kilogram. So we need to multiply 2.8 by 1,000. So step 2, work out our unit of conversion and multiply 2.8 multiplied by 1,000. Why have I done that? Because we're going from kilograms to grams. We're going from a larger unit to a smaller unit. Step 3, we simply, guys, need to calculate by moving the decimal place 3 places to the right. So if I do that, my answer will be 2,800 grams. 2,800 grams. Imagine I've got a decimal place in here. It was 2.8 kilograms. I've moved the decimal place 1, 2, 3 times. Don't need to use my calculator, just need to move my decimal place. So convert 2.8 kilos to grams. Really simple, guys. 3 steps. Our next example, it says convert 950 kilograms to tons. First step, I'm not going to write the 1, 2, 3 next to it. You should be able to get this. 950 kilograms. 50 kilograms, yep. We then need to convert it to tons. A kilogram is a smaller unit than a ton. So this time we need to divide. We need to divide 950 by 1,000. But we don't use our division symbol here like that, guys, because that's what we did in primary school. That's a little bit amateur. What we actually need to use is our proper divided by sign that we learnt even when we did fractions. So, 950 divided by 1,000. That's how we write it. So, we calculate by moving the decimal points 3 points to the left. So, my answer will be 0.950. I'm going to draw that first 0 for a bit better. Tons. Now, we need to remove the last 0, guys, because it doesn't look right. So we'll go 0.95 tons. That's the same thing. That's exactly the same way of saying the same thing. What have I done there? My decimal place was here when it was kilograms. Okay? I've moved it 1, 2, 3 places to the left because I've divided instead of multiplied. So my answer for 950 kilograms to tons is 0.95 tons. Finally, our last example. We've got a little bit of a fraction in here. It says convert 21¼ tons to kilograms. So 21¼ tons to kilograms. First we write down our quantity, that's the first step. 21¼ tons. Okay, that's what we've been asked, 21¼ tons, and we need to find what it is in kilograms. First thing, we have a quarter, we have a fraction, we need to change it to a decimal. Mrs. Forrest and Mrs. Cowling said you guys were really good at this. So, a quarter. What's another way of writing a quarter? We can write it as 1/4. We can write it as 25%. Or we can write it as 0.25. So 0.25. So all we need to do to convert this one is write 21.25 tons. So 21¼ tons is the same as 21.25 tons. Then all it's a matter of doing is our other steps. So a ton is a larger unit than a kilo, so it's necessary to multiply it. So we're going from a bigger unit to a smaller unit. When we go from a bigger unit to a smaller unit, we multiply. That's why it was so important to draw that diagram, guys. So we go 21.25 multiplied by 1,000. Answer, move the decimal place 3 places to the left. 2,1,250 kilograms. Very simple, guys. I've gone decimal place 1. Oh, sorry, moving the wrong way, aren't I? Whoops, let Mr. Corsi write that in again. There we go. Moving the decimal place 1, 2, and then 3. So I'd have another 0 in there. So 2,1,250 kilograms. And it's simple as that, guys. Just following those rules. Remember, when you're going from a larger unit to a smaller unit, we're multiplying. When we're going from a smaller unit to a larger unit, we're dividing.